Hey everybody, it's Jillian. First of all, I want to say that my dog's little tumor on the top of her head, it is softening up. It actually is feeling a bit more pliable and a bit more like just it feels softer. A couple weeks ago, within the last like a couple weeks ago, it was feeling really hard. Not like hard, but like you could tell there was a lot of pressure underneath her little tumor, and now the pressure on her little tumor is softened up. So I think she is going through definitely on the other side of the healing process, which is good. So, anyways, I want to define what a spell, what a curse, and what a gift is, so you understand what is going on really overall in the human population, and that we are under some kind of occultic type of magic in our society that is being manifested through your genetic lines. And so let's just see, what is a curse? A curse is when it is a judgment cast upon you for the choices that you made that will result, as the end result is death. Okay. And you could have state sanctioned choices, you could have family choices. Um, a curse is when somebody casts upon you that if you do this or that, then the end result is going to be death. And it doesn't always have to be something like Maleficent in Sleeping Beauty, where it's so obvious. Well, I'm going to cast a curse on you that you're going to sleep until someone kisses you and wakes you up. I mean, it doesn't have to be so like obvious and in your face. There are many curses out there that get invoked upon a family line, a genetic line, and a population that says if you do this, then this will happen. Okay? So that's a curse where the end result, the ultimate end result is death. And you're like, well, whoa, everybody's dying out there at some point. Well, maybe there's been a curse on humanity, and at some point you actually get the choice at some point to redefine what life is and what death is. Okay? So a curse is where the actual end result is death. Okay? A spell, which actually I'm writing about in my book, is spell is where you're selling a perception of what life and death is and are. Okay? And that is where you're using words that that have specific meanings, very specific meanings, and there are words that are very vague that are left to interpretation. And so a spell is when you're using so many vague like words. Right, John, using very vague like words that are adjectives that will have you think one thing when it really is another. And so just like when you're selling antibiotics as a gift of life, okay, to save your life, that's a spell. Because the actual word is antibiotic, anti-life. I mean, right there, we already broke apart, or we already dissected the word antibiotic a long time ago. But then another spell of a word is antibodies. Because remember, we broke down the word antibody, which we would automatically assume it means anti the body. But there's actually a bigger meaning to antibodies, because antibodies can be life-giving and they also can be taken away from life, the plus and minuses. That's in your immune system. You have the growth antibodies called agonist antibodies, which you don't hear about because that would then contribute to the whole cancer thing and the growths and the tumors. My dog, going through her evolution, being exposed to all the different variants that I've been exposed to, her agonist antibodies promoted that tumor growth that then caused her to go through an evolution, of which I've been dealing with for the last like 2 months with her. And finally she's seen the awesome other side of it. But when she gets, like this last weekend, I was hanging around with a bunch of people for another birthday party. And as soon as I got home, I just went to sleep. I was so tired. She actually exhibited a characteristic of her being exposed, which is peeing in the bed. And then she hadn't done that for like a couple of days. And then as soon as I went to this birthday party and got exposed to another variant, because people were sick, people were, they're fighting something. And of course, you're going to be exposed to it. And so my reaction to it was to go to sleep because that's my body's way of evolving at this point since I don't have any predispositions. She goes through her very, very quick evolution too when she's exposed to myself or my husband. And whatever she last dealt with will actually come to surface for a minute. But the only thing was just peeing in the bed and okay, fine, great, wash the covers, wash everything. Last night she was fine. We both were sleeping a lot yesterday. Okay, so we know this virus is very, very, very contagious and it's going to evolve people to the level of their predispositions. And so her only predisposition is the fact that she's going through an evolution through her bladder. And her bladder is strengthening. But of course, any new variant comes in the environment, the most, I guess, the most sensitive thing right now is her excretion system. So I could deal with the peeing in the bed before a couple weeks ago, it was the seizures. The seizures were insane. And so the curse on dogs is the fact that if they don't get what they need, they're going to go through levels of evolution that people are going to mischaracterize and then apply antibiotics. And guess what the curse is? It's death, because eventually that dog's going to die when you keep playing it with antibiotics. You keep playing it with taking out organs. You keep playing it with things that are in the medical holistic system in the veterinary world. Okay? So the spell is selling antibodies and only talking about antibodies in the context of destroying something, like with these antivirals. Okay? Because antivirals or antibiotics can be used as an antiviral, but viruses need a host. And guess who's a host? You're the host. And so selling antibodies as the only way to mitigate pain in evolution, which you need to feel pain in evolution, but people don't know this. So they're under the spell that every single time they feel a symptom, they have to go and destroy it. But then the end result is death. So that's the spell on humanity, is the fact that you're mischaracterizing your symptoms. You're mischaracterizing just what your body is supposed to be going through as it evolves in our world. Okay? And even the exercise industry has cast a spell on people, thinking that if you exercise to such an extent that you're going to have a beautiful body, but then what you're doing actually, even though you might getting a little bit of muscle and definition, you're destroying your body on the inside unless you can keep up to the level of evolution by eating a lot to make up for all of that exercise that you're doing. So there's a lot of spells in our society of beauty, the spells of beauty, and having that differentiation, what beauty is and what ugly is and what health is and what wellness is. And so we have been under a spell under the medical holistic system. Okay? And then that translates into politics and religion and obviously science. So spells are everywhere. It's perception. It's selling a perception of what health is, of what beauty is, of what balance is. Because you'll see the word balance and healing and whatever in the exercise industry, in the health industry, in the politics industry, all of that. They will tell you what health means to them based upon the intention to buy the products, to buy systems and protocols and all that stuff. And really what it comes down to is separating you from your money. Whether someone's selling you a piece of jewelry to a piece of clothing, to a house, to a this, okay? You really have to be very discerning to know, do you need that piece of jewelry? Do you need that piece of clothing? Do you need that house? Do you need that exercise regime? Do you really need it? Or is it something because you feel now that you can do it, or now that you can buy it, and now that you have the ability to capitalize in it, then it's a good thing. But this is where discernment comes into play. And it's going to take a minute for some because you just started the protocol. So a lot of new things that you see, or a lot of things that are not really new, but that you can do, is going to seem like it's a gift. And this is where the word gift comes from. Gift is a natural ability. It's the enhancement of what you already hold within you that you're able to advance and become very highly proficient in it. A gift is, I mean, it's the word, even the definition, like natural ability, can be very misleading because everything is natural. There's no such thing as something that's not natural, but it's already enhancing what you already hold as a talent. So if you already hold a talent, like I never read music, I've never played the piano, and so I don't have that predisposition to read music or play the piano. So if I'm going to break into that industry, I don't have that gift. I have to actually invoke that gift upon myself from the ground up. It doesn't come naturally or in a predisposition through genetics. And so some people who already have music in their background as far as genetics, that is the natural gift. And then you have the ability to enhance it with the J juice. And that's what I'm saying with the whole thing with arts and entertainment and the suffering of humanity. Yeah, a lot of beautiful art comes from suffering because it's actually a conversion of the biochemistry that's translating into some kind of medium like sound, like painting, like writing. And so actually, I have a gift of understanding the bigger picture. I have the gift of organizing and putting things together and looking and seeing patterns. And guess what? The J juice and the environment and the viruses, which actually are breaking the spell of humanity, has enhanced my gift to where now it's becoming easier to write. It's actually like almost like flowing through my fingers. Before, a couple of weeks ago, I was having super spiritual blocks because of, it's just because you go through evolution. You don't know why you have an issue with something. You just know you have it until you don't have an issue. And you're like, oh my God, then hindsight is 2020. And so once I discovered, about the cosmos and about the black holes and about the sun and the stars and the constants and the static and understanding Fred Hoyle and the Big Bang, Georges Lemaitre. I don't know if I'm pronouncing these correctly, but whatever, I'm attempting. Since I don't have a teacher to teach me, I'm actually reading things and having my own pronunciation. And it could be completely wrong, but unless I go and actually listen to the actual sound pronunciation, I'm going to make up my own pronunciation. So anyway, so Georges Lemaitre, he was the one that devised the Big Bang, and then Fred Hoyle made it pejorative and actually called it the Big Bang. So the Big Bang was coined in 1950s. And then Stephen Hawking took it to the next level, and also with the black holes and all of that. So if I hadn't studied all of that, then I probably wouldn't have that clearing to understand then what curses are, what spells are, and what gifts are. And so when you understand the differentiation between a spell, which is selling a perception, a curse is where if you do this, then you will die. And that's so true. Whether you die like 50 years from now or you die tomorrow, that's a curse. And that has been casted across the land, seriously. And it's in politics, it's in religion, and it's also in science. Because the selling of perception is also the spells in science. Yeah, selling the illusion that this therapeutic is going to buy you, whatever indeterminate number that you think is appropriate for what you think how long your life should be. But that could be like a day, that could be 2 years, that could be 10 years. It's all relative to so many predispositions. So that's the illusion. The illusion where they leave everything up to your interpretation, what you project. So if you think that humans should only live to be 50 and you're 45 and you think this therapeutic, because you have this crazy virus is in the environment, and you think this therapeutic is going to give you at least 5 more years, you're going to go buy that virus or that therapeutic. And then maybe you get the 5 years to 50, or maybe you only get 1 year. That's the perception, the illusion of chemotherapy, of cannabis, of all the therapeutics. And so this is where I could substantiate about the medical holistic system. I want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt. I want to give the holistic medical system the benefit of the doubt. And I have been. Oh my God, you see me go back and forth, vacillating between, okay, do I pro this or my con this? And I'm always going back and forth, just jockeying between the two, trying to find something to substantiate taking a side. But then the Trinity is the third eye, is seeing exactly how they are playing both sides. And that's the same thing with the dog coin. You see what Elon Musk did over on SNL with the word hustle. That really triggered a percentage of his stockholders, whatever, to pull out. Because when you talk about hustle, it's not just activity and all the other meanings. It's also a fraud. When you hustle someone, you're frauding them with a perception. And that's what stocks are. That's what the market is. That's what Wall Street, it's an illusion of easy street. Why do people buy these things? Why do people not rely on their own sure thing, which is themselves. Well, they don't trust themselves. Yeah, because they don't trust that they're able to actually carry out what easy street is. And so what do? They go put their money into something they think is going to give them a massive return. So they don't have to earn actually doing what it would take to actually be on easy street. They're relying on somebody else to double and triple their investment. And so I see through all of the illusions of easy street, of riches, of wealth, and of fame and all that. Believe me, you don't want fame. Okay? Fame is a double-edged sword. Wealth and riches, that's all an illusion. What does that actually mean? Yeah, if you get into a blue stock way early before it becomes a blue stock, but you don't know if it's going to become a blue stock or not. Yeah, you may think it's a very, it's a safer vehicle to put your money in, but yeah, okay. I mean, if you put money into blue stock over time, it might appreciate, but then you never know how the market's going to be. And with this next reset, the market can go way up and it can go way down. And so whatever money you put into a blue stock could be completely wiped out. We have so much volatility right now and so much uncertainty with everything because of this reset in the World Economic Forum and all the 17 influential families. And whenever whenever a person is dying, right, they're trying to grab all the energy they can, thinking that they're going to be able to use it. And then people also flock to that, trying to take their energy as a person tries to grab the energy, but both sides can't process the energy correctly. So it's kind of like it's still the strong man's always going to win whenever there's a massive grab for money or massive grab for power or massive grab for energy. And that's just like when you change one leader to another, it's a massive power grab. Regardless, power is taking whatever currency, whether it's energy, money, or power. And when there's an evolution, whether it's in a country or whether it's in a government or in a body, there's going to be a massive power grab, and only the strong are going to survive. And the strong are actually the ones physically able to adapt to the changing conditions. And the illusion is those that are weaker are thinking that if you take that little bit of power that's out there, that they're going to actually replenish when actually it's depleting them. And so it's such an interesting world that we live in, and watching all of this play out is like confirming already everything I've ever talked about, but was not able to articulate. But over time, as I'm releasing the excess, and I am, I'm not even drinking a lot of J juice. I drink, a little bit here and there now because I've really pretty much reversed all my issues. Now it's just processing the food supply the way it needs to be processed. And so I'm not subject to the curses that are out there. I'm not subject to all the illusions, the master of puppets, the master of illusions, using your illusions, the appetite for destruction. I tell you what, the 80s was completely the spells, with Madonna and what's his name, Michael Jackson, and now, and all the glam rock. I mean, they cast a spell all over our generation. And so using your illusion, and then you have Metallica, the master of puppets, and all of that, and all of the stars are just converting their predominant biochemistry and translating it and converting it into music and song, of which then those that are at a deficit will gravitate towards it, and those that need to feel like it needs to be brought up to the surface even more because they're addicted to that kind of chemical release, they will go and buy this type of music. And that's why music is so influential. And then the words attached to the music are even more influential. And then it becomes then part of the landscape. It becomes part of the reality. And that's what illusions are. That's what reality is. It's a type of, whether reality can be subject to interpretation, but so I don't even know how you would define reality to where it would be differentiated between the interpretation of reality. But actually, reality is your biochemistry. If you're aging and degrading, then you're living in an illusion, because it's really what biochemical hormone is present and most predominant at the moment. And then your life and your world and everything that you actually touch is going to be predicated upon how much of that chemistry and that hormone is influencing your decisions, your thoughts, your relationships. And so when you understand that, then you look at your friends and family and you look at what they gravitate towards. You look at the conflict they have. You look at the music they listen to. You look at the music they create. You look at the relationships between all the different people, and you realize, yeah, there's a lot of illusions that are colliding with each other, in your families and in our society. And so this virus really is like a wake-up call. It's another it's another, like, it's breaking the curse for those that are now seeing new information. Because yeah, you can have another virus like they did back in 1918, and then they would go and create a vaccine or something for it, which could be great. It kind of calms down the aggressive evolution, because that's all the vaccines do, is they calm down evolution. Do you really want to calm down evolution, or maybe we need to evolve? And so when you calm down evolution, it means that those that could evolve to the next level are then stilted, and then they still are on that trajectory, that line of whatever is their end result, the curse. They still maintain the curse, maintain the illusion. And so that's really what's going on in mainstream media, promoting something where it calms down evolution, is they want to still maintain the illusion. Or calm down evolution, they want to maintain the illusion. And then people make money off of that. That's why, the stock market is so lucrative in certain areas, but the stock market is very, very heavily manipulated. Me just looking at the Inovio stocks that I finally sold the other day, I probably won't get the $39 or $45 until 5 days from now, because I went through E-Trade. But I'm tired of seeing that stock go up and down, up and down, up and down. And I'm just like, and that's just, so yeah, if you go into something like Moderna or those very, highly influential stocks, you have to get in early there, and you have to have a lot of money to go play that. Okay. And so anyways, it's just something that to understand that we live in massive illusions, like seriously massive illusions. And if you can break that spell, you do J juice, and then you rely on and investing in you that can maintain, despite the fluctuation, that you can maintain a relatively, even, but without too much like heavy evolution at any one point in time. Because let's say what's heavy evolution? When you take a person who's used to one atmosphere and you thrust them into another atmosphere that's very volatile and very different as far as the constituents of the elements, they're going to have to go through an evolution process. And if you don't have what it takes to evolve to that new environment, then yeah, the thermodynamics is going to kill you. That's why they say, okay, do these therapeutics, because it might help you transition into the new environment, but it still maintains the illusion that you don't want to evolve. You want to maintain the illusion of dying at some point. So I'm going to take it to the next thing. Yeah, it may buy you a couple days. It may buy you a couple years. It may buy you maybe 10 years, or it may buy you 1 hour. People, when they take certain therapeutics, they are under the illusion it's going to save their life, and then they end up passing away. Oh, but it's not connected. Oh, it's very much connected. Everything is a factor. But then what you predominantly have done over the last 50, 60 years of our life, some people can't escape what they have done to themselves. So it won't matter what therapeutic is on the market. They won't be able to handle it or adapt to it. Even though it was meant to help you adapt to the environment, they couldn't even adapt to the therapeutic. So that's why people die now or later, or when they were exposed to something that was antibiotic. See, the whole thing with the reason why they were after me for a while in the beginning was because they didn't know that J juice is probiotic. I mean, even the Ohio Attorney General didn't understand probiotics versus antibiotics, I'm sure that they were advised by scientists to say, okay, if you're going to, well, first of all, cure, even the word cure is antibiotic. It means basically a curse, it's death. So right there, that's what flagged them, is when I used the word cure and jelly juice, and then people were like, oh, I have all these symptoms. They were like, holy crap, what the hell is she doing? She's trying to kill everybody. And then to come to find out that jelly juice is probiotic, it was tested in a lab. So actually it negated it being something antibiotic, purely fact because it's probiotic. And then why are people feeling symptoms? Well, now you're realizing that you're supposed to feel symptoms. It's part of the evolutionary process. And then guess what? The cures are, they're the curses. They are the punishment ends up in death. So occultic is not just something that's compartmentalized in this tiny little, arena of magic and witchery. It's also in the Bible. It's also in mainstream media. It's also in marketing. Oh, heavily in marketing. That's how the people are able to sell you stuff that you don't need, is the fact that they're able to use your illusions. They know all of your wants and needs, and that's the thing, is also how do you convert a want into a need? Well, you tap into someone's biochemistry. You figure out what runs them, and then you go and pluck that string, that biochemical string. And then all of a sudden, what was a want now turn it into a have to have, and it's a need. And then it becomes manic. it becomes an obsession. And I've seen it firsthand when something that you want turns into a need and it becomes an obsession. And then, holy crap, it's almost like you're seeing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And so the only way you can kind of just calm down that person is just to give them what they want, even though they don't need it. You just give them what they want because and so you'll see that in people. So anyways, I'm going to go because I might be skipping a little bit, but have a nice day. Bye.